All right, cool. Well, we're super grateful that you're here, Peter. We have Brady, who's one of our. He's been to camp for I think 2 years with us. He's a junior. Is that right? You're a junior now, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm a junior. Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot how to turn the mic on.
It's all right. And then Ketsia, who's behind our cat here, was one of our. Oh, there she is. She was a camper for a year at our summer camp, and last year she was one of our counselors. So she's
awesome.
in college now. But yeah, we might, like I said, we have some more folks trickle in. But we're just we're trying to launch these. We did it in partnership with an adult improv group here in Cedar. We're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, primarily. This adult group called Improv Incubator, and they try to do adult classes, and they support us with the donation and with some try to provide ways that we can bring in outside voices from our community, basically to give students an opportunity to hear from more than just me and the few folks who do improv in our community. So one of the things that we always like to start with is just just if you could share a little bit of background on what you do, where you've been, and what the type of things you're into now, improv and improv adjacent. That would be awesome.
Sure, yeah. Improv is and has been a very big part of my life for a very, very long time. I went to Northwestern in Chicago, and so I had a very unique and the timing of that in retrospect was incredibly lucky. And then I went to college in 2001 when long form improv really didn't exist a lot of places, especially in colleges. Chicago obviously was the birthplace of the kind of long form Del Close IO style improv that I do. New York was also the other big place in LA, but outside of that, there wasn't a lot of it, and especially not in colleges. And so I auditioned for a long form improv group, which is something I had never heard of. And I was trying to audition for the short form group, and I got cast in this long form improv thing, and I didn't understand what it was, but I rehearsed for 6 months before I ever saw it. And then I went to IO to go see improv, and the first show I ever saw at the end of the night was TJ and Dave, which is a legendary improv duo, and it was the first couple months of them doing shows ever. So I saw that, and my mind was blown, and I said, "I'm in. That's it." And so we were very lucky because our program was run by alumni who were IO Second City people. So I got cast in this. It was the beginning of this program where I got cast as a freshman, and my team was all freshmen, and we stayed together for 4 years. So every year they added a new team. So we had a little mini theater. And by the second year, I assistant coached the new team. And then by my junior year, I got to coach my own team and cast that. And so by my junior year, I was doing 6 hours of rehearsal per team. And we did one show a week. And it's blows my mind. I was there was never too much. So I got done with college having done a lot of improv, and I moved to New York, where the specific kind of improv and skills that I was good at, which was sort of the TJ and Dave thing, but also tricks, bending space and time, and sort of game of the piece was what I was very good at, and that was very not New York, which was UCB was the big game in town. So I got lucky. I moved there right when the Magnet Theater opened. I moved there a week after it opened, which is Armando Diaz, who's an old IO guy, and other Chicago people. So I felt right at home immediately there and got in on the ground level. I also, when I moved to New York, was at the very beginning of a company called Story Pirates, which is the other half of my life, which also came out of Northwestern. There was a student group at Northwestern called Griffin's Tale that originated the concept of taking stories written by kids and adapting them into sketch comedy to perform for kids to inspire creative writing. And so that idea, Story Pirates, was founded on alumni of that student group. So when I showed up to New York, those guys are older than me. Lee Overtree, who's my boss, was a senior when I was a freshman. And so, which will always be true. He will always be older than me. And we are professionals, but he's always my big brother. So that was also brand new. So I got on the ground floor of both those things, and they became my whole life. And I did them a lot for no money, while having other horrible jobs for a very long time. But now those things are my job, which it's not the most glamorous lifestyle, but I'm very, very lucky that I get to do the things that I would be doing anyway as a career. So now I teach at the Magnet Theater. I've been the advanced improv instructor there for about 15 years, and I'm the artistic director for Story Pirates, which we were in schools all over New York and LA for many, 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 many years, doing live shows and in-person writing workshops. Pandemic hit, which really changed things because all live programming disappeared overnight. But very luckily, a couple of years before that, we launched our podcast, which hit very, very big. And that kept us afloat. And so we sort of shifted to becoming a production company overnight during the pandemic. But we also do a lot of improv in Story Pirates. We have improv shows, but we also, just as a tool to build our shows, it's all improv. And our entire company is cast with improvisers out of LA and New York. That's as succinct as I could do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I kind of came across you initially because I have two absolutely massive Story Pirate fans who live in my house. So
yes,
and they probably, because I am cooking their pizza in the other room right now, and hopefully not to burn the house down, they will probably make a guest appearance at some point. So, but
when I talk to kids, they expect me to talk like this.
I'm sure.
Which really is more me.
Yeah, I did. You're going to have pizza in just a second. Okay. I did tell them, like, it's going to be a little bit different because it's just, okay.
Not that much different.
Yeah. We run a tight ship here. But I have a couple of different questions that I wanted to ask from that. But one thing that I found really interesting, because a lot of the time we have students who are like Brady's age and above, when they're in high school and college, it's hard to see the benefits of doing like improv seems beneficial because it's fun and you're doing laughs with your friends and stuff. But then to see it as a future thing, I think it's really sometimes it's hard to see like where that can plug in. How, I guess I know this, you have a really unique in that you're actually doing it for a job, like literally the thing, but what's the process, or how challenging was it to segue the hobby of those two things and the passion for those two things into something that was kind of sustainable for you?
Well, I find that this is true for so many artists, where if you ask advice like, how do I do what you did? It's never applicable because everybody's journey is so weird and so unique. There is no path to like whatever the thing is, because everyone took a different path to get there. And along that path, you discover the things you actually want to do. So for me, there was no goal in improv other than I loved it and I needed to do it. And from it, opportunities came up to make this part of my career. But like so many other things I do are improv adjacent. Like most of the, I make most of my living from doing commercials, which is a thing I didn't try to get. But like my agent's assistant decided to come to Del Close Marathon show and saw me like Sunday at 3 p.m. And now that's why my kids have healthcare because of that.
That's awesome.
And but also, I think anyone who gets into improv, the people that get into improv with the goal of like, making the improv itself your whole career your whole life, you know, I don't know who's done that. There's no money in it, in doing the improv, which is something that makes it actually keeps it really great. Which is you have to be doing improv for the right reasons, which is you love it. And so it is everything you discover from improv that's the real sort of gift of it. And for me, like when I was in school, I I was a good student, but I struggled with writing. And that was the thing that I was like, well, that's the one thing I'll never be. And now I spent all day long writing. We're a production company, but all of that comes from improv, just performance, 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 where I know story structure and I know, I know how to tell a story. I know how to craft a thing. And so when I started writing, I was like, oh, well, this isn't real writing because I'm just performing. I'm just improvising while and typing while I do it. And then many years later, I realized, oh gosh, I guess I'm a writer. And so like that's been but like I never was able to get there in school as like writing assignments were the one thing that stressed me out so much. And like that format of it, I couldn't do it. And I just forced myself through it to do just enough. And improv is the thing that got me to actually accessing my own ideas, where I felt like this was such a barrier. So that's I think to me the biggest thing. And then the other part of improv, I'm a director and a writer, and all of that has come from the intensive amount of improv. But then also as a human being, improv is really the greatest therapy, because in order to get better at it at a certain point, you have to learn about yourself. You have to understand, like, when I'm panicking in improv, when I'm afraid, how do I react? Because that's how you react to fear in your real life. And that speaks to what kind of a person you are and how you treat others and how you react to others. And the more self-aware you are, the better. So improv has done a ton for me in terms of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, as like a life skill and a human skill, it's like kind of amazing how many places it shows up. I'd never thought about the idea that pretty much any writing we do is improv, because you're just doing it on a keyboard. It's really it's kind of a revelation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was for me, whereas because I would write story part scripts and I was like, well, I can do this. This is easy. Because the way, actually, this is the big way we initially used improv in story parts and still do, is we would do sometimes up to 40 shows in a month. And so for every school that we performed in, you get 200 stories from kids there, and we can only do a few of them. We don't have that much rehearsal time, but what we do have is just the funniest improvisers around. So we get together in rehearsal and I go, all right, here's the story. I'm going to read it. And then you read it. And then you go, great. Kevin, you're the lollipop king. Mary, you're this. Let's go. Scene one. And nobody ever looks at the text except for the director. And so we just read it out loud together. And then I go, great. Scene one. The king enters, he communicates X, Y, and Z. The other person enters and communicates this information. But I don't ever say, you say this. Just say, like, here's what it is, go. And then people get up and improvise. And we build stories so fast. We can do an entire story, in like a half an hour. Where we got it, repeat it, and then we do it over and over, and it's exactly the same every single time. And so we could build a completely unique, brand new show in 2 hours the night before, and then we show up. And so we work so fast. And improv became the way to get to create a text without having ever written it down.
Yeah, because a lot of times, this is probably maybe a bigger question, but like when you're receiving stories, because for Story Pirates, if some of you have not listened since you're a little older, like you're dealing with the children's story that somebody that's like 4 to 9 years old typically or so submits. And then you basically just build that from like a skeleton of their outline. Like it could be just a few sentences typically. Is that a fair?
Yeah, well, it depends. We get an incredibly
Sure.
wide
Yeah.
array. Like I was just working on a story today that was, from a 12-year-old that was a full stage script. And so it's always
cool.
about, and then we do one of our most famous stories is called Cats Sit on You. And the entire text is cats sit on you and sometimes they take over the school. And that's the entire story. And so in either case, it's about author intent. We go, okay, what was this kid excited about? What were they clearly trying to communicate? And then some kids have the tools to say exactly what they mean. You get older, you get 4th grade and above. They're giving you the dialogue and all of that. In those cases, we always look, we get a script and we treat it like it's an adult script.
Yeah.
And we go, okay, great. Here's what we love about this and what is missing. A lot of times a kid's story will be missing, not even missing. Missing implies that it's bad. But what's not explicit in the text is sort of the larger context to understand what's at stake.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like the Dragon King was trying to make friends. So we went into the town so we have to go, oh, okay, great. What's the context in which he needs to do that? He wants to do that. And so usually we're filling out we're going, here's the context, where are the gaps, and we fill that out with specificity. And that's where we go, I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do, but I'm going to share with you what it made me see. And that's like how you should be improvising with people, which is, yes and is not, you sometimes see this with younger improvisers where, you take yes and so literally that you come out on stage and you're going, listen, yes and find the game or whatever. And we come out thinking that my scene partner who's initiating has a scene in mind, and it's my job to get their scene right, which is not the case. Like, it's your job to be joyously presumptuous about what they could mean. I'm going to say yes to what you say, but I'm not going to try to carefully get it the way I think you expect it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what it looked like to me. And so like we do this with kids, which is, oh, you gave me a thing and I saw this world and there's other stuff in it that you did not explicitly say, but like your thing gave me this vision. And so that's where the collaboration is, which is I'm filling in the gaps with like jokes, things that just occurred to me, not to change anything, but just to fill it out. And then you get a story like one of our favorite old stories was called, another cat story was called, the title and the full text was the same, which is, this is a story about cats flying. And then there was just a drawing of a cat. And we just have the author someone come out as the author to say, this is my magnum opus entitled, this story is about cats flying. Maestro! And then the piano player play the dun 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 dun. And behind the curtain, we just have 60 stuffed cats. And it's just da 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 meow, 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 meow. And that story killed like no other story ever. And it's just saying this story is about cats flying. Great. Like, this just the literalness and the musicality of that is what it's about. We weren't going to build a plot around that because you could tell that's not where the kid's head was.
Yeah. And no, that's awesome. Because I think that especially with some of the work we do with young, like we do some improv classes with like kindergarten through 4th grade and stuff. And the way their minds create these worlds is so different and so much more freeing than what we do the older we get. And so it's kind of cool to basically articulate that and try to support that author's intent in the same way. And the way you guys, like in my experience listening to them when we have car rides and stuff, the way you kind of dignify those stories, I think is really It's really empowering. Like that's why my kids love listening to it, because it's like they feel heard in the stories. It's not like adults trying to make the stories about them, but it's like the fulfillment of what's clearly a vision of some young kids. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it really. I mean, when I first saw the show, right before I joined, the thing that struck me immediately was that like we somehow can highlight the absurdity of kid logic in this way that is very funny, but is not talking down to the material.
Mm-hmm.
It is celebrating, Leo always said is this kids' word choice is poetry. You could treat it as, oh, that's incorrect. But it really is like if you treat it like Shakespeare, it is.
Yeah.
And that's like as improvisers, but even between adults, if I just treat you like everything you're saying is perfect, it is.
Yeah.
And like we do that so easily with kids, because we get stories and we're like, oh, well, it's a kid, so we turn off our judgment and we're just like treat it like it's perfect. But then a lot of times it's hard for us to do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
To go like, oh, because I'm like, are my ideas good? It's really easy to judge them. But what if you just went like, yes, go for it.
Let's do it.
You can always like do a thing and then change it. But if that's why it's too hard for me to write. Because I just like every letter, I'm like, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. When there's something like, every moment, like any mistake is a gift on stage, things like that. It's that same concept where sometimes the biggest mistake somebody might perceive is the thing your partner turns into the best part of the extension of that scene.
Absolutely.
I have many other things, but we have had Brady and Ketsia. Do you have questions or anything you want to throw out to put you on the spot, buddy?
For a Q&A, I came in, I got nothing.
I have plenty.
I'm on a ride.
Your face said that immediately.
I'm on the roller coaster. Don't know where it's going. It kind of disappears over the hill, but I'm having a good time on it.
Great. Ketsia, you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do like the way you were talking about yes and like how when your scene partner like gives you something, trying to figure out what they want to do, but like you're trying to add on like based on what you have in mind. So I do like that, and I think that would definitely help me like in the future.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing when I'm teaching improv is that our faces are designed to show everyone exactly what you're thinking and feeling. So if you're on stage wondering what your scene partner meant, which doesn't make sense for your character to wonder like who they are, then you're already saying no to your scene partner. Whenever you're on stage, you're going, oh, I think they have more. I should say yes and wait for them to tell me more. Your whole face and body have just said, that's not true. I don't believe this. And so I'd rather see people get your idea wrong with no fear attached to it and just go like, oh, here's what if I don't know exactly what you mean, here's what it could mean. And that's what the best improvisers are doing, which is like the less it matters to get it right, the easier it is to listen to each other. If I come in not being precious about your idea, I actually understand it better. And then I do take care of your idea well. But if I come in going, I can't screw it up, then your face has already denied it.
Yeah, and the idea that like you're adding into the scene and like not actually like bringing the whole wall. So I think that ties into with it. Bringing a breaking on a wall.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I should say you broke up at the very end there, but I think I'm just saying yes, I agree.
Yes. So I guess one thing that just to kind of build off of that, because I think there's a lot of times, especially with high schoolers and middle schoolers that we work with, the yes and train gets kind of stuck on what you identified early with, like we say yes to everything, so there's no conflict, and then there's nothing internally happening with the characters, and then you're kind of talking about here you're within your character, within what your character might choose, you are yes anding, but as an your character is responding the way your character would respond as an actor and a performer. You are yes anding and supporting your partner in that, because if I say to you, I have a bomb and I'm going to attack you, you as a actor have to figure out how to like support me, but your character probably doesn't say like, yes, give me that, I want to blow up. So
yes,
Like, you
exactly.
get the concept of what they're trying to do and less to the action, right?
Yeah, it's the yesing is not the word yes. You know, it's and um I haven't taught level 1 or younger people in 20 years, so I'd probably be very bad at it. I've been teaching only sort of like the last level at Magnet, where people come in and my job is to sort of like, all right, I'm taking you back to 0, and we're going to talk about absolute core stuff. Like the second you step on stage, the I say this in all my classes, but it's sort of counterintuitive. But I'm like, if you don't learn anything else from me, what I tell people is don't let your first step on stage be looking at your scene partner, because the second you see each other, and for the audience too, when we see you see each other, everyone's brain, everyone has asked their brain to go, what is this? And we start deciphering it. So if your first step on stage is looking at your scene partner, you're going, yes, and you're asking your brain to go, what does this look like? But it doesn't look like anything yet. It looks like an improviser walking on a stage with an idea in their head. And so what I do this exercise. It's called, oh, I'm me over here like this with you. And the last thing is with you. And it sounds like that's overly broken down for something that you need to not think about. And it's like, throw it out there. But to break it down, what that is the I'm me is the like, I'm not going to magically become another person. I'm bringing to the stage my brain, my thoughts, my observations. And then over here, which is like the characters are already out there. So go to where the character is and land. And then number 3 is like this. So if I come on, I go, I'm me over here like this. What is this? No idea. I don't have room in my brain to label it or to think about it or to do it. I just know I'm like this. It's not even an emotion. I'm just like this. And then and if have done that, and by that whole thing takes 1 second. I'm me over here like this. And then the last thing is with you. If 2 people do that and then look at each other, then the second you look at each other, oh boy, it looks like something. It's a scene, and it's no longer a moving target. This all came from me going to TJ and Dave shows where they just say, trust us, this is all made up, and the lights go out. And in the darkness, they just move. And when the lights come up, they look at each other, and there's 2 characters, and they're there. And they just check, and they call it heat and weight. And they immediately know that, like, oh, we're this intimate, this moment is this important, whatever it is. And so I was trying to recreate that, but without turning out the lights. And it was a big revelation, like 15 years into improvising, that I was like, oh, I just don't have to look at it yet. And so just throw yourself out there and go, I'm like this, and then look. And then, boy, it's so easy to then go, oh, and then your scene partner says their initiating line, and now it's not just a line of dialogue. It's a line of dialogue said by a character that looks like this, being heard by a character that looks like this far away from each other. And that's like, it's the difference between going like a Rorschach test where you go, what does this look like?
Right.
Anyone go, that's a rabbit jumping over a thing. But most improv scenes are not, the paint hasn't even stopped moving. It's like me taking a bucket of paint and going, all right, now what does this look like? Splash! What is that? What is it? What is it? That's most improv scenes, because people are walking in, looking at each other, and it hasn't settled. It doesn't look like anything. And so all of this is tied back to, if I'm never going to ruin anyone's idea by coming out and being this. And if I'm listening as a character, I don't know who I am. I don't know when I am. I don't know where I am. I just know how I am. Then I can yes and your thing so easily because I'm a part of the scene.
Do you initiate a lot of your, like in your long form shows and stuff like that? Do you initiate? Is that how you initiate the show in the kind of the TJ and Dave like that fashion that you just described, obviously without the lights and everything?
We do. So I do a 2-person show called Trike, which we've done for like 17 years or something. And we asked for the title of the show because we have a weekend show, so we got a lot of people that have not seen improv before, and so they don't. We asked for the title because people understand what that is, as opposed to. Can we have a suggestion? And we don't turn the lights out because then people are like, "Oh, you're doing TJ and Dave."
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But what we've always said is the top of our show. We get that, and then we land, and then we look at each other. And my job is to look like something, and then tell you what you look like. And his job is to do the same, where he lands and looks like something and tells me what I look like. But we go very fast. I'm always trying to slow us down.
Yeah.
But because I know that the thing I'm best at is trusting the first thing, and that's when we're the best at improv, which is your job is not to say funny things. Your job is not to get things right. Your job is to notice what your brain sees and then tell us. To me, it's all visual. Sit down, I go, oh, here's what you look like, and here's what it looks where it looks like you are, and therefore it looks like what we're doing. And if you brought up like your character's wife, I'm going to see that character. And if you let yourself just see everything that's being talked about, and then you can just accept it, as opposed to ever going, well, what should I do? It's too late. If you're wondering what the choice is, it's hard now. The easiest time to decide is when the thing came up. It came up and you see it. Then you see the detail next to it.
I like that. Do you do any short form stuff when it comes to teaching or performance anymore?
Well, Nick and I, we do our show together, started doing short form together in college. Right. We were in 2 different groups. But, do I? I love it, but it doesn't come up very much. Yeah. Where it, it comes up in Story Pirates in abstract ways. I'm writing, so I'm the head writer for the Cat in the Hat podcast, which we've been hired to do. And we do these mini segments. And I've realized just today that it's like the Cat in the Hat narrative and a little song, and then an unrelated segment. And there's a bunch of different ones. And all my ideas for them, I realize, are just sort of all short form games. Like it's a genre replay. Yeah. So that's where short form is in my life these days.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we, at least in our part of like Cedar Rapids is a smaller, it's like 120,000 person town, and we have our city, and we have several improv groups that perform, but they almost all do short form. That's pretty much what our community kind of is comfortable with. And every time we've talked about doing a long form show or have attempted a semi-long form show, it's always met with like a lot of trepidation. But most of the way we teach, our camp and everything, our counselors teach from, we use the UCB manual. We use a bunch of different books that I've read and that we've worked through by like Will Hines and all sorts of different folks. And so I find it's interesting because it seems like a lot of adult improvisers, or as you in like New York and Chicago, it's a lot of long form primarily, it seems like. But do you think, or in what way can you use, can the kind of forms maybe interact with each other as it relates to like whether it's warm-ups or whether it's how can we, like, is there a way that you use long form to think about short form or vice versa when it comes to that? You kind of addressed it with your writing, but are there other ways you see them kind of mesh?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't separate the two. In terms of, obviously there's different opportunities and limitations to each of them. The thing that I love the most is sort of big picture. Like I want to do a show where every single scene is in this piece for a reason. So, our shows come together in the end. We do an hour-long show, and there's a million characters, but if we're doing our job right, there's a reason they're all there.
Right.
Whereas in short form, we just literally don't have enough time.
Right.
But short form, it is like this is a bit of a tangent, but I remember in college had this sort of like revelation that this was in my acting class, that like my acting scene was just the world's most complex short form improv game. Whereas what's great about short form is you go, hey audience, here's a framework so you know what you're looking for. And then within that, obviously, all the fun is going to be in the improv, in the surprises. And that's true for long form or short form. And I realized that I started treating my scenes in acting class, which is, okay, the rules of this game, this short form game, is that you have to say all of these words in this order. And you have to honor the context of this. But between all of that, you are improvising. And you should be surprised about every moment. I don't know what the point of that was, but
that's cool though, because even in acting, some of the things we talk about is for camp and our bigger summer things that we do, we try to encourage people who aren't doing like speech improv or other improv things to come join us, because the skills are so applicable to acting and to other performance, just for comfort level on stage, but also something like that where you're free to make new choices when you're performing as the same character over and over again. So I think that's that crossover makes a lot of sense. And sometimes I wish that I could go back and I could slow down a little bit when I was doing, because I have my pathway to this is not at all normal. I did no improv classes or anything. I just did speech improv in high school and then disappeared to Los Angeles for a few years and came back. And I wish that I could try performing again in like high school or college and actually think about what I was doing instead of just saying the words. So I think there's some good wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was in college, I got cast in my long form group and then started my acting class at the same time. And so the two things immediately to me spoke to each other. And I like each of them made me better at the other one.
Yeah. That's what we want in art, I think. So, Are there warm-ups? You touched on, I love the, I'm over here. Are there other warm-ups or exercises that you really like doing either before you start a show or to like start off a rehearsal or a practice?
Sure. It's funny. I used to have so many warm-ups and now I literally only do one. Mostly because I know I talk too much. And so I'm like, let's get to that thing. But the one warm up I do started just as a very practical thing. But it's turned into a nice little model of how improv should be in general, which is we do a name game, and you may have heard of this or done exactly this, but it starts very simple where I just have everyone in the class create a physical gesture to go along with just their first name. So mine is always Peter. And then we learn everybody's, and then we start passing them. So I'll go, Peter, Kevin, and then Kevin takes it. Kevin, Tyler. And we do that for a bit till we learn everyone's name. And then I go, great. Now that we have it, let's add the most important element, which is we're no longer just passing the name and the gesture, but much more importantly is we're passing the how. So however that person does your thing, it's your job to not fix it because they did it perfect. Can you guys hear me? It just said We
Yeah, you're
lost the
good.
connection. You're good. Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. So if somebody comes and does Peter and it's a little weird compared to how I did it, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to copy it. And in fact, I'm going to exaggerate the way you did it. And then I'm going to hold on to that tone and attitude and let it inform how I do the next one. So if somebody gives me Peter, I'm going to turn that up. So it's Peter and then Kevin. And then Kevin exaggerates that. Kevin, Terry. And it gets very weird.
Yeah.
But it's just this mentality of treat everything that's happening like it's perfect. And because people get nervous that they're going to mess it up. And I go, as soon as you go, yeah, no, it's impossible to mess up. Not only don't fix it, celebrate the mistake. And then we find these, and then as I do this every week, after a few weeks, people start to realize that like, I'll even exaggerate how I say your name to the point where we're not even saying each other's names anymore. And we find patterns within it. If someone's like, toe Peter, then it's toe Peter, toe Kevin, toe Marty, toe Pata. And then we're just suddenly in this weird place, but we've all just said yes to this thing, which is how we should be improvising.
Yeah. I love that. A lot of what we deal with, especially early in our camps and some of our workshops, is just the fear of like being on stage or being weird when you're 12 years old or 14 or 16, and how your peers are all watching you. And so we do that and other similar things just to like establish the baseline of like, it's going to be weird. And if we can't all go 100% here, it's going to make it really hard for you to enjoy and really engage later. And I think that a lot of times those things go hand in hand, where you get comfortable being weird with your partner and suddenly you trust them by accident.
Yeah.
And then
it's genuine. I mean, it's no different with adults. That's the other huge part of that warm up is as soon as we can all look dumb in front of each other and survive, that is genuine intimacy. If I show my vulnerabilities to you, and you take care of me, we are now closer. And like, in terms of improv, that's everything. Because if you don't have that trust, then we are immediately limited to what kind of scenes we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that we really work hard on, trying to make sure we have that. And it's hard when you're terrified of the existence of other people watching you. But
Story Pirates, we call it permission to get weird.
Yeah, I love that. That's how we start pretty much everything we do, and it gets weirder every time, and we love it. So I have one last kind of thing that I wanted to ask, that we always ask our guests that join us, just kind of why is improv important to life? You've touched on a ton, but just like what about it makes it like something that's worth doing?
I mean, yes, there's so many reasons. I already talked about just like on a personal level, it teaches you about yourself, which we should always, that's probably the number one benefit of art in general. Is it's a safe space to actually consider what you believe in and how you want to be seen in the world and how to see others. But it's also, I mean, for me, I work from home, and so much of what I do is production. And even when I'm recording with people, it's like this. And so going at least once a week just to teach or to do a show, to be in a room with other people and be vulnerable, like we just talked about, is just so healthy. As human beings, we need each other. And the whole, I don't want to get on my old man soapbox and talk about today's day and age and the social media and the AI and the blah blah. Well, we'll always need that tangible sort of connection. So for me, it's just such a healthy thing to do, to be around people and to listen to them and see them, even if we're pretending to be other people.
Amen. That's the that's the whole thing. And that's why we try to do things like this so we can share it outside of just the little community we're in. And really appreciate you also sharing that too. Oh, we have some guests joining behind. Brady, Ketsia, do you have any questions? I'm going to let my kids say hi probably here in just a second, but I don't want to.
Oh, please. It says
Your
my
fan
connection
club's
is lost, so
arrived.
I can't see you, but I can hear
Oh,
you.
no. Okay, perfect. Brady, you got anything, buddy?
No, that was great. Thank you so much for your time. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
Well, I'm not sure if you can see our screens anymore right now, but I
can't.
That's
I
okay.
hear some giggling.
There's giggling happening. Ketsia, I don't want to cut you off.
I was gonna ask.
I hear more giggling.
I
was told this was a no giggle zone.
If there's like a way for you to like improve your character development, like if there's a way, like how do you like improve characters and like build more characters?
Can you say that again? You're breaking up a little bit.
I was gonna ask, like, how do you improve your characters and like build more characters the more you do improv and have like more diverse characters instead of just being stuck with like one individual characters?
Great question. I found it is the more you think of this is the note somebody told me forever ago, but it's like if you think of characters as a well that can run dry, it will. But for me, the better an actor I have become, the more I realize the less.
Oh no.
We lost him.
No.
Well, hopefully he'll come back. He was so passionate about your question, Ketsia. He left. Hold just for a second. I think his connection was just bad, so we'll hold.
We're gonna keep doing this till he comes back. I think he's failed Final Jeopardy. Unfortunate.
He was having some internet connection issues, so we'll see. We'll wait a little bit longer, and then. But I think he has a show tonight too. So.
Hey, he's back.
I'm back. How long do you think I was rambling before I realized I was gone?
You probably made some really good points, I'm sure.
Oh, they were brilliant. Yeah, sorry, I'm not in my regular space. I'm doing an improv show in 9 minutes.
I know. I saw you're on a time crunch. I'm sorry. Thanks for joining us still.
Oh no worries.
We'll let you keep moving. But Oliver, Emily, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi.
We love your show.
I love your show.
I think we're gonna submit some stories sometime soon. Okay.
So. Ooh, please do. I cannot wait.
Yep. We will. We will soon. All right. We're gonna be quiet so we can say thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, break a leg tonight at your show. Are you performing with Trike tonight?
No, I do a show with my other college friends and Nick, who's in Trike at the Brooklyn Comedy Collective, which is a different theater. I do it once a month, and I'm about to do it right now.
Very nice. Well, on behalf of everybody, just so we can get you moving, thank you so much for joining us, especially right before a show. And
thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
thanks
Peter.
This is super fun.
Yeah, thank you.
See you later.
We'll see you. Bye. Oops.
What, Dad?
Hey, thanks for coming on, guys.
Of course. That was really nice.
Thanks for not just being me here would have been less ideal. So,
Hi. Oh, what?
but all right,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna